So we'll quickly invite the next speaker on stage, Asit Baranpati. And I can see that Asit is an anti-establishment guy because I said the dress code for the carnival is strictly smart casuals. So I think by virtue of being anti-establishment and a variant way of thinking, he is succeeded in doing what he does in the markets. So what works for him well is good. Asit, I think his track record speaks for himself. I don't need to introduce him really. So I'll let him start off with the session.
Hello everyone. This is regarding few of the strategies that I do on a daily course of trading. I'll be sharing couple of one mean reversion strategy, one trend following strategy, and how exactly I do option buying. I would say this is very plain vanilla, but at the same time they are quite effective if you understand how exactly you can play your bets and things like that. Before kind of going to those sessions, like I would say two things, like before we get into the trades, let's not get into the fact that something is working for somebody, so it will work for me, or let's say the general tone that is there in the market. These are the few things that work, that's why I'll be profitable. So I think I have spent a couple of slides on mind psychology part of it and how exactly the best case scenario trading strategies that can be applied, we can focus on that. I don't think it will take much of time, but at the same time, I would like to discuss more on best possible ways to look at the market data, how exactly what kind of data that we look at. Those are the things that will be kind of more useful, I would say. So let me come to the first strategy that I've talked about, that is a mean reversion strategy, that is ATR stochastic. So these are the few things that we'll be covering. So let me start with the first thing, that is ATR and stochastic. So basically, in nutshell, what we'll do, we are looking for mean reverting strategies. So basically, if the price has reached, I hope all of us know about ATR. So what we are trying to do here, let me show the chart here, then I'll come back to the indicator and whatever that we are looking at. Yeah, I think it's pretty much clear. So if you see, there are three things that we have done. One is the Heikin Ashi candle that is there. We are treating the Heikin Ashi candle as an indicator, not as the candle as per. Then you'd see the two band line that is there, that is ATR band, average true range band. So one is the upper higher band ATR and the lower higher band ATR. And on the bottom part of it, what we're looking is the stochastics, all default setting, no kind of any edits to be done. So here what we're looking at, there are two conditions. First thing, when the stochastics, if you see the bottom panel, whenever it is oversold zone, and also your Heikin Ashi is coming to the lower part of the ATR band, do not go short here. These are the points where you can start going long. And maybe the other side of it, if you see the first circle that we're looking at, when the ATR is kind of the price is going towards the upper band, and mainly the stochastics is also the overbought zone, try to play for the mean reversion kind of strategies. At that point of time when the price is going away, just go and look into maybe 3-hourly chart or 2-hourly chart, or maybe at least 75-minute chart, and try to see if there is any kind of change in Heikin Ashi candle that is happening, or price is hitting the upper band of the ATR band, and also stochastics. If these three conditions are there, try to play for a longer period of, so this kind of reversal that we're talking about in 2-hour frame, maybe a bank nifty would give us maybe 400 points, 500 points arams on a 75-minute chart. And if you're looking for a 2-day, 3-day, 2-hour, 3-hour kind of time frame, it will give us a 1,000-point move. Now, the strategy is simple. It looks like, okay, fine, we know ki stochastics overbought or stochastics oversold, and let's say Heikin Ashi chart, it can be very nicely fit into your systematic trading, and try to find out the zone where you need to reverse the trend. It's a trend reversal strategy, mean reverting strategy, and we try to play out for a longer positional play. Now, I'll come to the options part of it, how I kind of apply the option theories of it. But think about a price zone where we are talking about the first green circle on the bottom part of it. Market will be bearish, everything will be looking bad. And let's say you want to buy 100 lots of Bank Nifty, start testing the water with maybe 20 lots or maybe 10 lots, depending upon what of the risk appetite you might have. And as and when you are in the money, try to do the delta drifting and try to make money out of it. So the point is, you play for the direction. So the strategies that I'm going to talk about, a couple of them, these are all purely directional based strategies. What could be the stop loss? Price doesn't move the way you anticipate and starts falling the swing low, below the swing low, you take a exit. If you see that the Heikin-Ashi candle, the color, that also give an importance, the kind of mother candle that is getting formed or the size of the body in the candle. If these are kind of coming into the picture, try to take the opposite side of the trade. It won't at all kind of hurt you that much because you're going to the extreme end, other end of the reversal, and you're trying to play for the game. So then you can get, so once you know where exactly the turn of the tide can happen, you can start scalping. You can start adding 10 loss, 20 loss, 50 loss, whatever that you want to, and you play the game. What could be the exit criteria on the upside? Let's see if you have got the direction correct. I would say again, when you're reaching the upper band and you see, so this, do we have a pointer by any means? Okay. If you see there's a big spike that has happened on the upper candle, at that point of time, I would not know how it will be. That will be first side of, first chance of booking maybe 20, 30, 50%, whatever that is there. And I keep playing. So whenever the color is changing of the Heikin-Ashi, I'll be cautious. Whenever the stochastic is going to the upper range, I'll be cautious. And that is how I'll be playing. But understand this is not something that will be kind of intraday perspective. Try to have it for maybe a couple of days, maybe 2 days, 1.5 days, and that is how it will be play out. And it works fine. It's just that you have to take into consideration that both the stochastics are in the oversold or overbought zone. So yeah, I think this is exactly what you can also, similar to this strategy, you can also do Bollinger Band and RSI. When the price is touching upper Bollinger Band and your RSI is overbought 70, sloping downward, it can also be replicating the same thing. That is also a mean reverting strategy. So basically over that Bollinger and RSI, you're looking at lower Bollinger Band and RSI below 30, cutting upwards 30. Try for a reversal play. Price is above the kind of towards the upper Bollinger Band, and your RSI is cutting below 70. Go for the mean reverting. At least whenever you're too bullish in the market, just do this thing, just apply this ATS stochastic and Bollinger Band RSI. You'll find out if my zone of entry is still good. You might not, even if you don't want to play for this side of mean reverting strategy, whenever too bullish, go and check where exactly your candle is in terms of Heikin-Ashi in ATS stochastics and Bollinger and RSI. It will save you a lot of money, because it is not about making money, but at the same time you'll find the first signs of reversal that might be happening. Go for a higher candle, do not play for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, that is not what I'm talking about, at least 75 minutes, just in case most of the people who are kind of applying 60 minutes or whatever, always try to play for 75 minutes for a positional or for a day or two kind of this thing, because 6 bars, that will give much more context than 30 minutes or 50 minutes kind of thing. So yeah, these are the two strategies that I look at for mean reverting. So the other part I was talking about Bollinger Band and RSI, just play out whenever the market is too bullish or too bearish, like something like today, go and see ATS stochastic and say how exactly the candles are formed. At least at that point of time, do not go aggressively short or do not go aggressively bullish when the price is in the upper side of the band. So this is one thing that I wanted to talk about. So basically, if I come to 1 second. So coming back to the theory part of it, ATR is like price actions GPS. It tells you where exactly the price in comparison to the volatility taken into picture for the last few days. And what we are looking at, instead of Bollinger Band, why ATR? Because the true range takes care of the gaps. So that is also quite important in case of, if you're playing for mean reverting kind of thing. And I have explained what are the strategies. So the bottom part of it, ATR upper band and stochastics overbought, that will be a sell. and ATR lower band stochastics oversold, that will be a buy. It's a very, very simple but very, very effective strategy if you kind of try to play it out on a positional basis. So that's first. I'll be talking about this 21 EMA band. In case you want to discuss any questions, we can, or maybe once we finish the strategy that we can discuss again at all go. So, okay, let me just open the charts. I think that will be better. I did not cover. I'm not able to share this screen. A screen is not getting changed. No? No, but I just check this one. I want to show this chart, but
I think it's stuck. Your laptop.
you can close that.
You just restart and we will continue.
Restart. No, that's okay. Fine.
Because it's not
I don't know.
It is
So,
stuck on this.
okay, fine. I'll just go through. Okay. Apologies, guys. Just a couple of seconds, maybe. Okay, since they're fixing it up, let me explain the 21 band, what we are looking at. So basically, all of us draw moving channels, right? Moving average, 21, 8 EMA, say 34 EMA. So what we are looking at, you can open your any charting platform. Instead of the close of 21 EMA close, just put 21 EMA high, and the lower band would be 21 EMA. Yeah, I think that's fine. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is Bollinger Band and RSI. The same thing, what has been done, look at these areas where your RSI is kind of overbought. Look at the candles of Bollinger Band. Heikin-Ashi is kind of rejecting the upper Bollinger Band. This is the kind of zone that I want to go kind of short. Of course, from this range to, let's say, from this range to this range, we are obviously quite bullish. But change of candle color and the size of the body that is getting formed, these are the things that I'll be looking at. All of you who are doing algos, this can be very easily coded, and you can get at least 4 or 5 trades in a day in FNO space. So this is what I'll be looking at, and the combination is simply the same thing. Here again, let's say this is one kind of sell. This is one buy. I'll not be looking anything intermediary until unless they're not touching 30 and 70. I'll not be looking into it, and I'll be playing all this thing on the Heikin-Ashi candle, not on the normal candle. And just like ATS stochastics, this will also be try to play it in a higher time frame, maybe 75 minutes or at least 45 minutes, and this should be kind of working fine. Both of these are kind of mean reverting strategies, and you can look into this. Okay, let me draw one chart what I am trying to explain. I think that will be Okay, so let's say, let's draw our favorite Bank Nifty. So again, if you see this is like 5 minutes, I would like to put it at 15 minutes. And what I'm going to do, look at the indicators. I'm looking at 21 EMA for 1 second. Yeah. So I'm forming a band. If you look at this, this is close. I don't want to put the close, I want to put the high. Okay, and give me a second. So this becomes my 21 band high. The second one I want to make, again, just a second. This instead of the close, I want to put it low. Okay, now I'll tell you how exactly this plays out. Give me a second. Just a second, guys. Okay. If you see, we have a band that has got created. 21. So what is the rationale behind it is that 21 EMA high that takes into account 21 period ka high, so that becomes the resistance. Then you have a 21 period ka low, that becomes a support. So here the rationale that you're looking at, if the price is breaking below your 21 EMA low, you go short, okay? And what are the other conditions that are there? Your Heikin Ashi is turning red and there is continuous bar and things like that. Okay, what I have put it over here is also a 8 EMA. That becomes my stop loss. In case you do not want to make 21 EMA high low as the stop loss, this becomes your stop loss. So give me a second again. Right? So if you see, there will be pockets of selling pressure, there will be pockets of buying pressure. As long as the candles are inside the channel of 21 EMA high and low, I'll not be going long and short. But the first time the 21 EMA low ke niche price is getting closed, I'll definitely go for a short. And I will show the final screen, final chart what we are looking at. But this is the condition that I'm looking at. Try to put it intraday and try to see how many candles that you're getting formed. So a pocket of selling pressure when it comes, yes, you can say ki, let's say for something like this, it has started selling from here, but you're getting a call here. I'm absolutely fine. As long as I know ki the 21 EMA low is getting breached, I would kind of increase the quantity and things like that and try to play the game rather than in anticipation try to get the exact top and bottom. Something like this kind of pocket. We are talking about here 34,278 to say 33,700. So around 500-600 points. Of course, in a trending market it will work. If the market is not trending, it is chopping around. Obviously, it will not be working that nicely. But this is what I'll be looking at. In a 15-minute, so the conditions are like, create your bar for 15 minutes, or if you're doing Bank Nifty and doing for scalping, do it for 5 minutes, that is also fine. Put it into Heikin Ashi, 21 EMA high and 21 EMA low. And the final chart, what we will be using is this one. I'll explain how exactly we are using this. So I wanted to show that so that, okay, one of the most important indicator or rather price action that I look at, obviously all of us know previous day high and previous day low. If you see in this one, the previous day high and low is broken. This is today. So this is previous day high and this is previous day low. So it is bearish. On top of it, what I have done here, I'm sorry, this one, just add one, this thing, super trend. I think all of us love the concept of super trend. So this is another confirmation that we'll be looking at. And this thing would be 10 and 3. I don't look into 14, 2 or 21, 1. Let me set that up also. Yeah, that's fine. So the confirmation that I'll be getting is from super trend whenever. So I always like to have multiple forms of confirmations. So here 21 EMA low, definitely a short. Heikin Ashi, bigger candles, mother candles getting formed, another form of confirmation. We have super trend 10-3, that's again one form of confirmation. I obviously do not know much of market profile and all those things. Dean did a great show there, but what I look at is the cave area. Let me explain a bit here. Okay, there are a couple of other things that I need to explain. Okay, can you see the candles here? There are kind of blue, green, red, bit of purple. So on this Heikin-Ashi, what I've done, imposed EIS, Elder Impulse System. Those who would not know Elder Impulse System, this is basically a consensus between 13 EMA and MACD. If your 13 EMA and MACD are in the same consensus that market is bullish, you'll have multiple green candles. If your MACD and 13 EMA not in consensus, they'll have the purple candles. And again on the bearish side, MACD negative and your 13 EMA is negative, you'll have the negative candles. Now, what exactly it is forming, the moment you have multiple, let's say, candles, and you see something like this blue bar, this is not consensus. See the previous, so this is 5-minute bar. I'm talking about this you can do for scalping. So something like this, you see 21 EMA ke upar price has gone. Okay, fine. You can test the water. For a simple scalp, your MACD has given a buy, let's say from here. Your super trend has given a buy. This is all fine. What I'll be looking at the point of exit. If I'm entering something here, this blue candle should be the first trigger for me to get an exit. Because here the MACD and 13 EMA is not in consensus. And these are the pockets that I'll be looking at. If I'm getting, so when you're doing it intraday, try to understand, there are times we get over-enthused with the fact that, okay, market काफी correction हो गया. But when is to book the profit, when to make the exit, these blue candles will give me the first warning sign. And that is what I want to look at. I do not want to kind of get completely carried away, because घट रहा है तो नीचे ही जाएगा and there is no other way out. But this blue, see, if you see this pocket, let's say this is the 30-40 minute, maybe 60-minute candle or whatever, time frame. Before this red come into the picture, there is a overlap of blue and green ke upar blue. These things are kind of giving the warning sign that whatever trend that you are following is about to change. So this is exactly what I'll be looking at. So for scalping, of course, with the option data and everything, this is the kind of data that we'll be looking at, how exactly the turning point will come into the picture. Another thing that I look at in this volume profile is this cave area. Whenever there is a cave, market will fill that up. Intraday, positional, higher time frame, doesn't matter. I do not know much of market profile, please excuse me for that, but I definitely do know for this cave area, whenever this point of control is getting breached, and let's say there is a cave that is getting formed, prices will get into that zone. So I would be extremely cautious if I'm long. Okay, fine. I see a cave, so I would rather kind of get out of this that place. One thing that I have just kind of put is a super kind of okay. Just give me a second. Yeah. So if you see here, there are two parts to it. What I'm looking at here is 5-minute and another is a 15-minute. For intraday, for let's say 1 hour perspective or let's say a couple of hours perspective, I can take a trade based upon this 5-minute buy, sell, whatever that is coming. But my form of reference will be coming from 15 minutes. I'm talking about only Bank Nifty intraday play. Here, if you see, the super trend has given a buy. There are good candles that is getting formed and everything. But where exactly I'll get an exit? If you see between this, there is this purple bar that has come. There is no consensus, but MACD has not given me a sell. So I'll still hold on to it. But this red 2 bars should be good enough for me to kind of get out, because somehow it is coming inside the channel. Inside the channel, matlab indecisiveness. There is not much of concrete buyers from the bull side or the bear side. So I'll be cautious in that form. Again, it is you can always do multiple entries. You can always scale in, scale out. Do not kind of commit your whole capital to kind of at one go. Try to scalp it, try to put it in different kind of pockets, and try to play the ride. Whenever you find candles which is kind of not forming the way it should be, the first point of exit. And MACD should also form a kind of reference where exactly I'll take a kind of exit and things like that. So Yeah, so this is exactly what I'll be kind of doing in 21 EMA band. So we have 21 EMA high, low. We have one super trend 10-3. We have the volume profile where exactly I'll be looking at the kind of volume at price, where exactly the cave area is kind of getting formed. Then on top of that, on Heikin Ashi, what I'm trying to put is EIS, just to have the finest, the first warning sign and the first sign of reversal that is coming into play. So be it scalping, you want to kind of play it positionally, be creative, make this 21 EMA to 54 EMA, 89 EMA play for positionally. It works like a charm. It's just that you have to see and understand how exactly the price action is happening. If too many wicks, upside, downside that's happening inside the bar, inside the channel, try to avoid those. That will not be kind of that fruitful. But once this 21 EMA low broken convincingly, please go for aggressively to kind of take a short or whatever. And 8 EMA, so for any short that you're doing below 21 EMA low, your 21 EMA high should be the first stop loss. Once you are inside the money, then take the 8 EMA as the stop loss. That will be the stricter one. So, yeah, so this is what I was showing earlier. So this is what I'm looking at. There is a pivot high low that is given just to give a reference point. What is the swing high, swing low that is being created? This is 5 minute and this is 15 minutes. The other one. So this is 21 EMA band. There are a few practical trading checklists I would like to show, like which is quite helpful. You see, end of the day, you have 10s and 20s of strategies. You have your own strategies that you follow and everything. But there are certain elements that you need to always be a little careful about, when to enter and which are the trades not to be entered kind of thing. I'll just show my market watch list. Maybe you will find few pointers that will be useful to you. Okay, if you can see this market watch list. Now, okay, whatever that I'm kind of not telling you or sharing with you, this is what I do on a day-to-day basis, and this gives lot of input where exactly the juice is there, and you can go long or short kind of thing. So first thing first, what I do, if you see the first column, that is point change, rather percentage change, and open interest percentage change. Right now, do not look into this open interest percentage because of the expiry and monthly close. This could be a little skewed, but in essence, what I'm looking at, what is the percentage change that has happened during the day, and this plays out very nicely if you check for the first 15 minutes. In the first 15 minutes, let's say some percentage change is like just 1%, 2%, but there's sudden spike in the open interest, let's say 10, 15%. Try to get that trades into the account. Now, one thing that need to be looked at, if you see the third column that is there, that is absolute change, like Reliance from 2000 to 2020, so 20 points that we're looking at. And what I try to compare that absolute change with is ATR. So every stock has its own universe in terms of where exactly it will be rotate kind of thing, the distance and everything. This average true range will be talking about what I have taken is last 11 days, not 14. So this talks about what is the normal range this stock oscillate between. Agar let's say Reliance ka range is 50 in a day, and right now it has moved around say 10 points up or down, that doesn't matter. We still see there is a leg room that is still there for Reliance, and if there is a substantial open interest that is getting built up, I'll be interested to take a trade in Reliance. So something like if you see, give me a second, I think something like SDFC, just look at this one. Forget about expiry. Now if this is the kind of trade that is there in the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, I'll be very, very aggressively like looking into SDFC for the day. Why? Percentage change is hardly anything. There's a spike of open interest of 34%. His daily ATR is 26, and right now it has moved 7. So right now, if the open interest is getting built up, it has a leg room of going around 26, 30 points kind of thing. Not that key, it will not go beyond that, but on an average, this is what I look at. So had it been the case that there's a substantial amount of open interest increase that has happened, SDFC has already run up to maybe say 30 points. a trade that will not be taking up. I'll be looking for retracement for any pivot, any kind of S1 retracement, S2 retracement and things like that, then I'll be kind of looking into it, but otherwise I'll not be taking a trade. Another thing I'll be looking at is this RSI and RSI average. Now, I don't know how many people will look into this. So if you see this one, this is 4,500, this is a 75 minutes candle. So on 75 minutes, what is the RSI and what is the 75 minutes mein RSI ka average that we are talking about last, again 11 period, not 14. So wherever, so if you see in the line, there are few lines that are getting highlighted, say ACC, let's say CIPLA. So these are the trades where your RSI is more than 55. I'll be looking into for the long trades only when the RSI is more than 55. I'll be looking for short trades when the RSI and RSI average is less than 40. So this is kind of now color coded. The moment anything that goes below 40 RSI, it will be showing me up. And what I only need to look at is that how much is the ATR and how much is the open interest change that has happened, then I'll go for it. So these are the few, I would say very, very minute details, but at the same time, this gives lot of trade during the day. These are like practical day-to-day affair where these are the trades that gives me at least 7-8 trades in a day where you can bulk up quantity and make a decent return. Another point of fact that I look at is this last 30 minutes average. Most of you might not be aware or maybe aware already, is that the final price of Bank Nifty comes out at not at 3:30, it comes out around 6:30. So if you see at 3 o'clock, let's say Bank Nifty has say 33,000, and by 3:30 suddenly it has gone down to say 32,700. There's a 300-400 points correction. What I need to look at, I want to figure it out. If at all I'm bullish on Bank Nifty, I'm carrying Bank Nifty overnight position. Let's say yesterday, it was a sudden fall. Obviously, the whole day it was kind of falling, but the last half an hour, there is a spike that was there. The last 30-45 minutes kind of thing. I want to know between the market hours, what is the final price that Bank Nifty will get settled at. The reason why, that will tell me if it is kind of not too much away from the VWAP pricing of the last 30 minutes, or is it at the price of 330, whatever. This comes into play when you are aggressively short or build up. So yesterday I took around decent amount of quantity Bank Nifty put. I need to know where exactly Bank Nifty is settling down. So in your checklist, try to have something which will show you what is the final 30 minutes average price. And trust me, those are, that will give you 50-100 points like any point of time. Every 10 days, 5 days, there will be a sudden spike that will come that will give you scope for adding more quantity in your favor. So these are the few things that I'll be looking at. This is, I'm sorted with the open interest, this thing. The next one is I've sorted in the percentage change. Now, obviously something like, what I'll be interested is that Naukri is like 6% down, open interest decent, this thing. Look at the ATR. Obviously intraday this ATR is definitely raised, but I'll be definitely looking into kind of Naukri. Why? Because let's say RSI has gone below 40 and RSI average is also gone below 50. So this is something that we're looking at. So these are the kind of trades that I'll be looking at for carrying anything for positional for next year, things like that. Should my other models also tell, okay, fine, this is looking bearish or kind of bullish kind of thing. I'll just open my software, I think, just give me a second. Yeah, okay, 1 second. So this is what I was showing you in this thing. See, it's end of the day, you just have to kind of sort your data in a manner where you do not have to think. Your analysis should be coming post the market hours where you have to think what exactly needs to be done and things like that. But during market hours, have your setup in such a manner where you're less analytical and more into execution, and you know which are the stocks to go long and go short kind of thing. And so this is the kind of market was that I am quite interested. I would rather suggest that you can definitely look at. I also look into this MACD and MACD average. So we know below MACD average, if something has gone below in 75 minutes, that is definitely I'm not going to go long in. If you're going to go short, I also would be looking at whether it is look at almost S2 or breaching S2, going towards S1 and things like that. We are going long, has gone above R2, R1. Those are the zones that you'll be looking at where exactly you need to go in. Just because something has gone up tremendously, that doesn't mean the moment you enter, it's already R2, and R2 becomes a resistance, it's not going to R3 level. So wait for certain time, let it cross R2 convincingly, then you let it go to R3, then you can kind of enter into the at R2 as a stop loss. So one second. So coming back to that, I think I wanted to show you how exactly I see the market data, and this is exactly I scan the market on a daily and during the market. Pivot watch, again, I think all of us know, but what exactly I look at if something is corrected too deeply, where exactly this pivot watch is there? Is it S2, is it S1? Is it still having a juice that I'll be going short for it and things like that? So create your pivot watch and list where it will be kind of beneficial. I just do understand, like everyday basis, your ATR will always be breached. Something like Maruti 124 and 268. Just try to see whether it is still having juice for you to kind of go in short or go in long kind of thing. As a disciplined trader, anything that has exhausted say 75%, 80% of the ATR, I'll not be going long or short. Yes, it can always go even further down, but at that point of time, I'll not be that keen to go long or go short kind of thing. So, yeah, so, okay, I think the last and most important part of it, which I want to cover, is the options part. And yeah, so this is taken from Taleb's book, Dynamic Hedging. So I think basically all of us know, there is, before I talk little deep into options thing, it's not that I preferred option buying to begin with from when I started my trading journey. I was less capitalized and I wanted certain amount of return, and I did not have any other way to make money but to go through option buying kind of thing. And over a period of time, I just try to kind of do a bit of expertise, build my expertise around that, and that is what exactly it is. And let me tell you a couple of things before I go deep little bit into options. You saw the Bank Nifty today, it went down by let's say 800, 900,000 points, went up all these points. This selling and everything is all fine. If you're not, with due respect to all the sellers and everybody who is doing selling, I think end of the day all we need is a bit of return that is there, and with kind of a decent amount of risk. If you see your risk profile is good, your pocket is deep, go for selling. It is the best way to kind of manage or get money, I would say. But if your risk profile is not that deep and you do not have deep pocket, I think it's a strictly kind of to be avoided kind of thing. There are a lot of people 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 15 lakhs. Option selling, trust me, it is not something that will be that conducive. You make money most of the time, but the issue what I have with option selling is that we do not know the magnitude of the risk. We all know about risk. Buying, I'm not debating about buying and selling. It's just that in buying, I know what is the risk that is involved. In selling, maybe I would not know the magnitude of the risk, and that matters a lot. So about the theta thing, let me tell you, yesterday I took weekly put, Bank Nifty put, decent amount of quantity, and I made money. Now, all these theories and everything that is there that, Wednesday को आप buy करोगे तो theta decay हो जाएगा, you'll not make money. This is all nonsense. This is a kind of bias that has been created, and most of us, like I heard, we keep following this bias without even investigating. My point is that if you're sure about the delta, if you're sure about how exactly the movement is going to be there, you'll make money. Theta is the last of the Greeks that you need to be ever bothered about. Be bothered about the delta. if you're right on the D's are nothing but D for delta, D for direction. Whenever I have lost money because of option buying, I have lost money because my sense of direction, my analysis of direction was not correct. I was wrong on the delta part. It is never about the theta part. So whenever I go for long options, it doesn't really matter that whether it is Wednesday, it is monthly expiry, whatever. If you sure about the direction, you will make money. There is no way, yes, see, the point is that there will always be a bit of theta decay that will happen, but it is not that big that it will completely encompass your whole profit that you're going to get. So in case you want to get into option buying, I know the majority would not be into it, but in case you're going for it, it's always advisable to understand the direction part of it. You get into ATS stochastic, Bollinger RSI, you create your own model, 21 EMA, whatever. If you have the direction clear, okay, fine, this is, and we have having the direction since last 1 year. And I think people who are directional, trend followers, they definitely do make greater amount of money, and the ROI is definitely good. Yes, they also will lose money. It's not that it is easy and everything and it is all fine, but they'll lose money because they have gone wrong in the directions. So once you understand what is your risk appetite, how much you can invest, how much you can go for, then it's a pretty easy thing. I think most of you would have seen today 30-40 rupees call has become 400 rupees. Maybe say some put that was there. I myself had bought the put, I think around 350. I sold it around 720 or 750 kind of thing. And so yesterday, and trust me when I say this, I've been not doing this only now. I have been doing it for the last 3.5 years. So whenever there is a direction that is clear and the delta is kind of in your favor, try to get into 0.4, 0.5 delta. Always stick to ATM. Do not ever go to OTMs. Out of the money, call put kind of thing. That is the first thing that we go wrong. Always stick to 0.5 delta, 0.4 delta. And if your direction is there, do the delta drifting from 0.4 to 0.7. Then go to the next kind of strike price. Never stick to the in the money, deep in the money, because they'll start exhibiting the characteristics of the underlying itself. So do not put yourself into 1 delta, near to 1 delta, 70, 80 delta kind of thing. Try to put it around 40, 50 delta. Try to scalp it to say 70, 80 delta and exit and go to the next strike price of 40, 50 delta. That is how you do the delta drifting. So yeah, so that is what it is. So I think I have explained whatever that is there, but the last point I would like to share, limiting risk is the primary economic purpose of options. And this is not who I am saying, this is by Taleb. So if limiting risk is my primary purpose of options, by doing selling, I'm just doing the opposite of it, right? And if I'm not deep pocket, if I do not have decent amount of capital, trust me, it is not good. I'm saying with a lot of audacity here, if you're not deep pocket, if you do not have positions that you can carry M2Ms, you can carry for let's say a couple of weeks and things like that. Yes, option selling is easy. You make money over a period of time. There will be always a bad day when things will go bad. I'm not discouraging any of this thing, but try to think. There is also other ways of looking at the same thing and putting little more effort and thinking where exactly the directions. You will go wrong out of 10 times, say 3-4 times or 4-5 times or whatever, but whenever you go right, the ROI is incomparable. There is another thing that people talk about, is the options kind of let's say expire worthless. The point is treat options like vegetables. So you get vegetables to your home, you do not consume it after 10 days, 15 days, right? So when you buy options, your shelf life should be very, very limited. Maybe a day, maybe a 2 days kind of thing. You make money, book it out and go out. If direction is not clear, do not enter into it. And that is how I do. I do not trade every day out of the 22 trading days. I trade maybe 10, 12 days aggressively. I just need 3-4 days, and that takes care of the whole month. The whole psyche of that, I have to trade every day is not something that is required. It's just that we think कि हाँ अगर trading हम full time traders है अगर हम trading नहीं करें तो हम we are not putting effort. But that's a psychological thing. I think if you understand, you just have to wait for your own zone, your area where you can kind of get in, make a quick money and come out of it. That is all that is required. Yes, the game changes completely opposite if you becoming seller, because obviously your time decay is the main play here. So yeah, I think that is exactly what I wanted to say. And in case the volatility is there, uh, you'll have situations where you make money out of long delta, long vega. Out of the Greeks, only the theta is the only thing that is going to hurt me. But if I have the directions and delta and gamma in my favor, there is nothing that is going to stop me if I know what is the direction. And the thing that people talk about that, again I was coming back to that, ki options get worthless by the expiry. I don't need to carry the options till expiry, please understand. As a seller, yes, you are obviously going to carry the things till expiry because you want to get the time decay. But my objective is not to carry the whole thing till expiry. My objective is for a day or two. If I get in something, let's say 1 lakh rupees, I get around 80,000 from that options, this is good enough, 80% return. I do not know what happens over there. I look for the next trade. So as Tom Sosnoff has said, trade small but trade often. So in that way, buy options, small quantity where the lot size is less. Do not get into say 10, 20,000 where 50 paisa niche aa jayega, so obviously you start losing money. Get into blue chip stocks where the liquidity is there, where the good bid-ask spread is there, and try to play for direction. 100, 200 points in Maruti, up and down will always happen here and there. So get the direction into your favor, and the kind of ROE that you can make by buying options, you'll be quite amazed. So yeah, another thing before I proceed, as you know, why options? I always look into this, like now cash market is like 1D. You can only buy and you sell. Your futures market is 2D, where you're talking about buying, selling, and selling, buying. But with options, you can be both buyers, can be sellers. You can buy call, buy put, and you can also do thousands of strategies that are there. For the record, I do not do any strategies. I know theoretically, but till date, I have never done any bull call spread or this thing. My point is that if hedging is something that I never understood, my point is that no, if you are not sure about your directions, I don't need to be in the trade to begin with. So why do I need to hedge? And there comes a question mark कि then direction हर time पे तो नहीं मिलेगा तो हम option buying नहीं करेंगे. So that is the primary principle that I would like to say. अगर if my sense of direction is not there, I'm not going to get into it for the heck of it. मुझे hedging because the kind of money that you make by hedging and everything will be very, very limited. One leg will always eat up the profit. And I do not want to get into a trade where I'm not sure about the trade that is there. So I always like to get the directions into my favor, try to understand how exactly this trade can play in my favor, then go for it. Now directions you take anything like trend following, bit of momentum, bit of volatility, bit of indicators that play into it, and try to see where the direction is coming. That is the only key thing that we need to look at. I think I've already told you about this. Chase the delta and gamma. Theta is the least of the Greeks that I'm ever bothered about. I'll tell you one slightest and a couple of examples I keep telling to people who kind of come to me. Ultratech, I think 2-3 years back maybe, the results came. During the results season, another thing, whenever you see there's a good amount of ATI breach that has happened during the day. There are, let's say, 21 EMA has been broken, let's say open interest resistance has been broken, certain seller zone has been broken, and let's say results are positive, you feel the momentum is there in the price. It doesn't matter which expiry, whatever. Anyway, stock ke liye to monthly expiry hai, but doesn't matter at what point of time that is there. You do a bit of delta drifting, it will always make money. The way you carry, I do carry a lot of positions overnight, FYI. I try to understand what is the sense of direction for the market for the instrument, try to make profit during the day. If the profitability is there during the day, then I have the confidence to carry it. If I do not make any profit in the particular instrument, I do not carry for the next day, be it long or short. So there is no hope trade. Agar main galat hu, there is a stop loss, I'll book the stop loss and I'll move on. That is how I operate. So coming back to Ultratech, this thing, I think, again, so-called theta decay. So I had bought around 3,600 at that time, 3,600 or 3,700 was the price. I think I bought at the money call, which was around 100 rupees. During the day, I sold it around 220, 230. Decent amount of quantity, bought 3,800, again decent amount of quantity, sold it around 80 rupees upper. decent amount of profit that has booked during the day, that becomes my stop loss. And then what I do the delta drifting for the next day. So I bought it around 3800 ka call, no, 3900 ka call. Quantity was around 66,000. Price was around 60 rupees. The next day it gapped up and went up to around 230 or 240. I booked it at around 190 because that is the more than zone that I was expecting. There are so many trades that like that has happened. So when people say कि theta decay Wednesday पैसा चला जाएगा and all this thing, yes चला जाएगा अगर trend और momentum नहीं है. So of course I'm not a fool that I'll enter into a trade where there is no trend and momentum. I have to gauge the trend and momentum का strength कितना है, what is the relative strength, how exactly this particular stock is doing in the whole sector. You have 3-4 conditions, book a certain amount of profit during the day, that should be a stop loss. In case the other day, the next day, Ultratech would have fallen to say 40 rupees, 30 rupees, I'm still good because I had made decent amount of profit the previous day. So this is my risk management, if I may say. I do not look into the actual technicals की इतना time पे मुझे entry करना है, इतने में जाना है. I just need a surety confirmations, multiple confirmations, and that is how I kind of play for it. So yes, chase delta and chase gamma. Don't bother about the theta if you know the directions and delta. Trade momentum, you can take into Chande's momentum oscillator, you can get net momentum oscillator. There's so many. You try to see where exactly the momentum is getting built up, that you can do. Probability of profit. So yes, so there are a lot of talk that happens, the probability of profit for buyers are very less. Yes, absolutely, maybe 20-30%. But nobody talks about the ROI. The ROI that some buyer can make, it will be humongous and it will be quite nice if you play it in a disciplined manner with a decent amount of risk management at place. Is just because you can buy a lot of options, that doesn't mean you put all your money into one particular strike price. So that is not the idea. But at the same time, once you know the probability profit is there, and it is a play for the next day or next couple of days time, it is more than fine. I never carried any stock price ka same strike price ka option for the next couple of days. My entry is today, exit is tomorrow, and I exit most of my positions by 11:30. End of the day, all that matters, what is the profitability you're making. It is not about, I do not trade anything between 11 to 2 o'clock maybe, and that is the time I feel market is sideways and choppy kind of thing, unless a day like today. So you pick up your zones, you pick up your time frames, you pick up what are the instruments that you want to play. I like Bajaj Finance, Reliance, Ultratech, Maruti. You pick up your stock, which are the stock. You have to know the characteristic, what is the ATR, what is the S1, S2, things like that. And that is how you can play for it. So yeah, so trade momentum, pop is low, but at the same time ROI is quite high. Stick to ATM. Do not ever, I get a lot of DMs like, no, I bought 35,000 ka call, should I wait? And you never ever go out of the money because you're supposed to give yourself a fair amount of probability of chance that you're going to make money. OTM calls you never buy. Lottery ticket कभी-कभी लगता है, but हर बार नहीं लगता है, और उसी में ही हम फंसते हैं. तो there's another thing. We buy options because we think it is cheap. We do not give that probability factor. We do not bring that probability factor to that option pricing. Bring that into consideration. Yes, a Bank Nifty of 1,000 points moved the way it happened, but it doesn't happen every day. So as a discipline, do not keep your positions in a manner where you will keep holding it for the next 3-4 days, 5 days, 6 days. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to understand what is the delta. Try to keep your delta around 40 kind of thing at least. Do not get into the strike price where the delta is 15, 10. That is seller's zone. As a buyer, you should always get into say 40, 50, 30, at least 30, not less than that. So stick to ATM, be aware of, more than the theta, what you need to be aware of is the IV. If the IV has shot up, if the particular stock before the earning result, the IV has gone up, yes, IVP, IVR is more than say 50 and things like that, yes, then you need to be concerned about, okay, fine. Even if the direction is right, I'm not going to make money because IV has shot up. So these are the few things that you can kind of look at. Yes, the real danger is not in the theta decay, but the danger is the wrong assessment of Ds. D for delta, D for direction. Yeah, so delta drifting I talked about. Margin requirements we know, like the kind of margin that is needed. I do not know the regulations that is going to be there in September onwards and all. But at the same time, even if my probability profit is there, but at the same time the amount of money that needs to be invested in an option, maybe if let's say I can very surely say, all of you, there are a lot of people who say, okay, let's say 10 lakh, 15 lakh is this thing, I want to earn 5% a month. You just divide. Let's say 10 lakh, may 5% is like say 50,000 rupees, right? You have 22 trading days. All that you need to make is 3,000 rupees. For earning 3,000 rupees a day, you do not need to invest more than a lakh or 2 lakh kind of thing. There is always going to be a stop loss, there is always going to be a target that is going to get hit, but that is the VAR, that is the value at risk. Even if something goes wrong, you still have a lot of money, let's say 2 lakhs invested, another 7, 8 lakhs is there to get your good days back and money back. But point is, if you make a systematic trading with rule-based trading, disciplined trading, and you want to earn 5% a month, let's say, on a 10 lakhs capital, if you do not make 5% through option buying, trust me, the foundation is wrong. You're doing something wrong. It is not the process of option buying and selling. As a trader, there is a lot of areas to be covered. That is the simplest of thing. Agar 50,000 I'm looking at, din ka 2,000 on a capital of 10 lakhs, my invested capital is not more than say 3 lakhs. You got to be kidding me if you're not making 2,000-3,000 out of 3 lakhs through option buying. There is always momentum, there is always some amount of trend momentum that is happening, some stock or some script or index. You just have to capture that. So build a system which will capture that trend and momentum. That is it. And once you make your targeted profit of say 3,000, 4,000, whatever, as a retail trader, shut down the book. Doesn't matter who is making how much. For me, the day is done, and that is how I'll be looking at it. So bring that element of profitability, how much of profit I need to make on a daily basis to your kind of whole trading module, you can say. Yes, not to treat like investment. If I'm taking something, if things are not working out, I ought to be having a defined stop loss. I need to get out. There is no hope trade. Let's say buy 300 ka call, Ambuja Cement, say 20 rupees, it has come to 15, I still wait. No, that is not going to work. And one more thing I would like to say, never average your options ka strike price ka this thing. 300 ka Ambuja Cement ka let's say buy kar liye. Ambuja Cement has come down to 280. I'll still buy 300 ka call price. Please do not ever do that. Even if you want to give yourself a decent amount of chance of recovering the money, get into 280 ka call rather than 300 ka call. So never ever average down the same strike price ka call, because option pricing doesn't work like that, like future or cash kind of thing. So because of the time decay, let's say IV and everything, try to lower down your option strike price and try to enter over there. So give yourself again the probability. Do not ever get into that 0.30, 0.20 ka pop. Delta drifting I talked about. So basically, this is one thing. It's kind of, you can call it delta drifting, you can call it pyramiding, you can call it water profit that you make in one strike price. You're going to only, that becomes your risk. And if you make decent amount of money, that again becomes your risk appetite and things like that. And if you do decent amount of pyramiding, it always gives you confidence to go for the momentum. Okay, fine, it is still going on and can carry it. One pointer I would like to say, again out of context, whenever you see ADX is touching on a 15 minutes more than 40, withdraw your positions, be it selling, be it buying, doesn't matter. This is one thumb rule that you always need to have. ADX is more than 40, a discipline kind of bring it to in yourself in your trading mechanism that I'm not going to carry my positions again. Wait for retracement. That retracement will always give you some scope. So yeah, so that is exactly why options buying. I think mistakes I have spoke, like a couple of things, wherever the stocks are not very liquid, say Apollo Hospital, say Divi's Lab, say few other stocks where either the lot size is quite big or there is not decent amount of bid-ask spread that is there. Do not get into the option buying kind of thing. I think I just told you about this, not to average down the same strike price. Never ever do that. That's the cardinal rule, you can say. Sure, not only you're increasing the size, but also you're creating the risk of not getting back your invested amount, you can say. You need to be very much aware of the blocks of option trading. What is delta, gamma? I know all of us are more interested in theta, but understand about IV. Nobody talks about IV that in detail. It is quite dangerous, be it the buyer or seller, whatever that is there. But understand if you have the IV behind you, your option pricing is going to be going up quite nicely. Yeah, this is one thing that you need to understand. The premium, the expensiveness of a particular stock price, strike price is not exactly the demand and supply is coming to the picture. It also takes into the IV and other things that are there. So be very, do not get into a strike price just because it is cheap. Because if it is cheap, that means that there is not much of demand, A, and B, you making return out of that is definitely quite less. So try to keep yourself in a zone where the ATM is quite, you're sticking to the ATM, earn the money kind of thing. And okay, I think this slide I wanted to talk about, this is like mind over markets. So first thing first, know your game, understand which kind of environment that you're operating upon. In the sense ki know your trading DNA. Are you an aggressive buyer, you're an aggressive seller, you're a positional trader, you're an hourly trader, you're somebody who want to get into cash, and create that, understand their DNA and respect their DNA. Do not kind of mix your own kind of DNA to somebody else's. Somebody else is doing something that might be giving them some good this thing, that doesn't mean that is good for you. So understand what kind of trading DNA that you have. Trading environments, understand that, what kind of environment you want to trade, low volatility, high volatility, low volume, high volume. Understand what kind of, what kind of zone that you are in. Market is choppy, do you really want to get in? It's not a smooth ride, do you still want to get in? Avoid ostrich effect, as they say. So basically, understand what is the risk parameter that is there, understand how exactly the risk that is getting is there by your side. Do not think just because you are shutting yourself off from the system, from everyone with your positions, dekha jayega kya hoga. That doesn't work. Do not get into that kind of elements into your this thing. There are, avoid these biases, overconfidence, your optimism, your let's say loss aversion, jitna bhi niche jayega aur hum average karte rahenge, ego bias and things like that. And last but not the least, yes, majority of the people who trade futures don't make money, and that's the truth. And I have been one of them. And in fact, over 90% are not successful enough to justify being in the market. This is the brutal truth of the market. No matter what we talk, what we say, we all have our own bad days, drawdowns and everything. End of the day, all that matters is that your capital, protect your capital, whichever way you can make money, that is all fine. But never lose sight of the capital that you have with you. And just because certain things are working for somebody else, don't think it will work for you. So it's a difficult game. It's not that easy that many people would like to portray. So understand your risk appetite, understand your what exactly the kind of trading that you need to do. I think more or less this is done. I think there are a couple of guys who have kind of asked me to show the ranking that I do. I'll just take, I think, a couple of more minutes. Give me a second. Sorry, just a second. Yeah, I think so. So basically, this is the ranking that I kind of keep checking. The building blocks give me a sense of how exactly something is looking bad or something is looking good. If you see the second column, that is the bear rank. All these three, the three time frames that I'm looking at is 15 minutes, 45 minutes, and 3 hours. And if you see the whole texture of the market, the building blocks are all reddish. You can see which, so what I look for is that, okay, just to give a brief, these numbers have been kind of coming from, let's say, a set of different indicators like trend, momentum, volume, volatility, your market breadth and things like that. There are certain scoring that is being done. And what I'm trying to look at is that, if the consensus is there for bullishness or bearishness from across time frame, be it shorter time frame, 15 minutes, 45 minutes, 3 hours, 6 hours, and longer time frame, I'm looking at 2 hours. If the consensus is there, at least if it defines certain kind of rules and this thing, I will not be going long or short until unless that number is not getting matched. Most of the time, I do not look into charts during the day. I just look at these numbers and try to take a trade from there. So yeah, and if you see, if I sort it in a higher time frame, if my barometer for going long is 60, what I have is right now 53. I'll take a second, I'll tell you how exactly these numbers are flowing, maybe that will be of some this thing. So if you see, this is the 3-4 companies which are looking good, above 55 kind of thing, but market is bearish. So I don't need to look into the market and charts and everything. One click and I understand which are the stocks which are bullish or bearish and which are kind of getting into different time frames. So yeah, so okay, give me a second. I think I'll draw a chart and I'll tell you how exactly. Okay, so let's say I'm taking one. Okay, 1 second. So let's say I have taken here 8 EMA. Then let's say we have taken something here is 21 EMA. Again, let's say I have taken something, let's say 34 EMA. Just a small this thing, just to think little differently, I would say. That is all the objective is. Okay, so, okay. Can we look into this candle, this small little, yeah. So this candle is above 8 here, 21 and 34 EMA, right? So let's say if I have a scoring system which tells me what is the score of the particular candle. So let's say, forget the weightage. Right now I'm not talking about that, just giving a rationale. So can I give this candle 3? Let's say I assign 1 for 8 EMA, 21 EMA, 34 EMA. ये तीनों candle के तीनों moving average के ऊपर है. So this is +3 for me. And for this candle, this is -3 for me. So because it is below the 8, 21, 34 EMA. So if I, now there are multiple, let's say I draw this, let's say I draw this MACD here, right? Now MACD above MACD average here, right? But below 0 line, right? And let's say here the MACD is above MACD average but above 0 line. Can I give it 2 here? And maybe here it will be -1. Let's say positive score is 1. So above 0 line 1, positive crossover is 1. So 2. So here this candle will be forming 2 and plus above 3 EMAs, so 5. Over here we are looking at, it is above the MACD average but below the 0 line, correct? So it will not be having any positive score. And the candle is different. So this is how the building blocks of the ranking gets into picture. I kind of try to get maybe around 35, 40 different indicators blocked into, bracketed into, let's say, trend, momentum, volume, volatility, data points, market breadth, and things like that. And depending upon how each and every stock is performing in different categories, they'll throw me a number, and that is how I look at it. So if I tell you ki, let's say, forget about everything, a stock is 3 based upon the EMA, you know ki this stock right now for the candle is having above 8, 21, 34. If I say -3, that means it's below 8, 21, 34. That is exactly what I kind of look at. So I don't really need to look into the chart per se, because I kind of coded and given a different weightage to this thing. I think that is more or less what I had to share. In case you have any questions, yes, feel free to ask me. Yep, thank you. I think I know most of you might find it very straightforward and whatever, but trust me, most of the best of the things happen from the simplest thing. And I try to keep my trading the most simplest way, not complicated. Honestly, most of you know much better way how the strategies are done in options. I don't know any of the strategies. Don't know in the sense, I never practiced one, so I don't have the moral authority to talk about spreads and everything. But yes, I just play simple plain vanilla key. Okay, fine. There is a short to be hit, you hit it. That's it. If I go wrong, my stop loss is there. I'll be out. But there is no something called adjustment, no kind of loss repair and things like that. So that is exactly how I kind of trade. So yes, you have any queries, feel free to ask me. I'll Uh-huh. I broke my loss. See, I get your point. How many black swans will be getting? Well, I am talking about, let's say if I'm making out of 10, say 8, 9 times, decent return, one black swan, and again, so when I'm talking about black swan, it's not that every time I go long without any shorts, there'll always be a bucket of shorts that will be there in my system. There'll be always a bucket of longs that will be there in the system.
That is a kind of a hedging in that case.
No, yeah, that is a hedging, but what I meant by hedging is that, I buy a call and sell a call kind of thing. That kind of thing what I meant. If I'm sure about my direction, I think Bank Nifty will go by 200 points or go down by 200 points. If it doesn't go my way, the way I envisage it, I'll see how exactly I meant. I never believe in the fact कि मैं इसको long भी करूँगा, इसको ऊपर से short भी करूँगा and try to protect myself. So in that way.
वो इसलिए नहीं, hedging इसलिए नहीं, hedging तो जैसे आप कोई पोजीशन ले रहे हो, कल को गैप डाउन होगा, then you will not be able to book your losses ना, in that case. जो stop loss होगा, उसके नीचे चला जाएगा.
हाँ तो ठीक है, whatever that is there, I'll be taking it up. That's fine. My point, what I'm trying to say कि okay, when I say कि hedging, first thing I meant about the spreads. I don't do any spreads because I don't believe in that. That is number one. Number two, if there is a black swan, yes. By the means I have seen also decent amount of black swan on the positive side than the negative side. But even if the black swan is there, it's there. We are there in the business of risk. It will definitely be coming. 4th of March, I lost decent amount of money. The bond yield when the Nifty gap down. The previous day, my system was all bullish, and I was taken all the bullish without any shorts. I lost close to around maybe 70, 80 lakhs that day. I don't have a choice. I lost that money, so I need to recover. So, but at the same time, I would never step into the field anticipating in tomorrow is going to be a black swan.
लेकिन अपने को वर्स्ट केस सिनेरियो तो लेके चलना पड़ेगा. 2011 में जैसे हुआ था, तो पूरा का पूरा आपका अकाउंट भी वाइप आउट हो सकता है.
नहीं, but you need to play with the, okay fine, let's put it in this way. I only try to go aggressive and go extra based upon position sizing if I have money in my bucket kind of thing. If I have not made money, my position sizing and aggressiveness will be very, very less. So that is one way of risk management. I'll try to keep my this thing beyond my capital. I'll try my, so if I'm going aggressive, कितना loss होगा? मतलब 5-6 लाख, let's say if I'm 1,000 quantity लिया, 600 point, 700 point Bank Nifty गया, 6-7 lakhs. So that's okay. That's part of the business for me. I kind of come to that stage of point where I can accumulate this kind of loss, but at the same time, I'll not like to compromise the ethos that I have developed over a period of time. I'm not saying that this is what has to be followed by everyone, but this is how I kind of look at it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a lovely session.
Thank you.
The market setup you have is designed by you, or is it the market setup you showed us?
Okay, so I use 2-3 softwares. One is eSignal, Metastock, and I use Spider also. And this is the one that I've taken from Fox Trader. So this is where I have done my ranking. So yeah, this is from Fox Trader. In case you're referring to this one.
This is ready.
This is ready. I have done few changes, and but it's doable. There's not something it is not doable.
Okay.
So let's say ATR and RSI is 14. I want to do it in 11. So that is how I do it. I kind of included this MACD and FACD average with a few default parameters being changed. But yeah, me being a short-term player, I need to have more definite amount of impulse coming in a short term rather than a long term. So that is why the changes in parameters, but this is doable, yes. But I'm pretty sure whichever software, whichever platform that you're using, this can be doable. My point of reference is that these are the points which will stop you from going aggressive or unnecessary. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है. I have faced it. Suddenly there is a spot, base 25 point Tata Steel भाग गया. The moment we enter, suddenly it comes back. The point to check that is that see the absolute change, how much it has gone for today, and what is the normal ATR, average true range. If it has gone beyond the ATR, the risk reward is not favorable to me. I should have caught up Tata Steel beforehand or positionally, that's a different story. But for today, the juice is out. So I'm the guy who is going to be kind of sold into the profit of somebody else. I don't want to be that guy. So in that way. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, please.
Hello. How much of an ATR do you like consider? Like, if it has a 25, if a stock has a 25-point range, then till what move will you be trading?
Take 80%, 85% is decent and see, my point is, let's say that ATR is 25 points, right? And it has already moved 20 points. So what the average says, that doesn't mean it will not go to say 35 points. But as a disciplined trader and if I'm a rule-based trader, I would not like to get in there, no matter how strong it is, because somehow I think the range is getting exhausted for that day.
Okay.
So let it retrace back, that they can re-enter.
So if it's less than 80%, then you'll do it.
The lower the better, maybe 30-40% is fine. But definitely not enter at around 80-85% का range का expansion हो चुका है तो. So yeah, in that way.
Hello guys, allow me to ask a very funny questions to all. Is it impossible to trade without technical? If I am not following any technical scripts and nothing else, I just do a trade. Is it possible?
But yeah, if
because I don't know much of that technical. Because unless I am doing a trade, successfully I am doing a trade. And right now I am thinking without the everyone speaker and the other else talking about the technicals too much. So this is the thing. Only the thing we add on. After that we can do a trade.
Okay, so let me put a rough analogy there. So you are in. Yeah, so let's say if you're trading the market, you're trading against and with the people who are like, AK-47, let's say tank and everybody, पूरा एकदम prepared. आप एकदम सामने पहुंच गए कि मैं लड़ूंगा. So that is exactly what could happen. So I'm not saying कि technical analysis जानने से आपका profit हो जाएगा, but loss नहीं होने का chances थोड़ा ज़्यादा रहेगा. आप you'll be better prepared. See, understand somebody who has 100 CR, you are the perfect person that he'll take the money from you. I'm just saying, I'm not discouraging you. Trust me, I do not know much of charts, but if you look into options data, you have something which you can think कि your money is safe to bet upon. But अगर आप बोलें कि कुछ भी नहीं जानूंगा और मैं trading करूंगा तो नहीं, I would not encourage you.
Sorry to interrupt, but thing is that I heard about the technical trade carnival. I was assuming we are talking about the trades and strategy. So because I don't know about the too much of the technical thing, I am here to learn about some genuine trades. What we are learning here, the technical bit, I don't know about the charts, candles, and the economics which are using. Might be definitely a great to all. Could we add on the strategy? But I think, is it possible without that thing we can do?
How long you have been trading?
After 8 years.
Okay. Vishal bhai, yeah.
Hey, hi. My name is Vishal Mehta and I have done my CMT, which is Chartered Market Technician, which is like a 2 years of dedicated technical analysis course on technical analysis. And trust me, for being a good trader, you don't require charts. What is chart? Chart is price action, right?
Thanks to motivating me.
Charts is what? Nothing but price action and mass psychology. Yeah. So if you read the prices correctly, you are already getting the charts. You are making in your head. That's pretty much about it.
I just follow the price and making the, just consider the market only. In present market, not what was the past and what will be the future. I am taking the what is happening in the market and nothing else.
You see, if you have survived 8 years, kudos to you. Yeah. I really like to know what you have done to survive in the market for 8 years. I'm not that skilled enough, to be honest. So yes, great. But having said that, yes, charts is not the only thing. And trust me when I say this, I do not know much of charts. There are much better people who know about charts. Okay. But you develop something, options data ho gaya, price action ho gaya, whatever that is working. And if it is working for you, don't change it. It's okay. Carry on. Okay. And wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
Hi Asit bhai, I've seen your Twitter post, so couple of questions. You do take a lot of trades in a day, right? Like 30-40 trades in a day. So how are you managing that, and like is it all automated, or if you can throw some more light on that, just so that we know we may not ever get to 40 trades a day, but maybe 10 trades. How do we become better at managing multiple open positions? Because different things are happening to each script.
Yeah.
So a little bit of light on that would be great. I think you have some ranking mechanism, right, where you rank your
I just
trades.
showed you that.
Yeah.
Okay, so first thing first, I don't do any algos. विशाल भाई जो करते हैं मैं उनका पूरा एकदम opposite हूँ. My system is so my entry is completely systematic, but my exits are completely discretionary. Now, when you say about lot of trades, I think you get into the zone where your mental algo takes into shape, and trust me, this does exist. I'm not saying I'm that, but sometimes have you seen this movie Matrix? The bullets aate hai, Neo, the way that he operates. Trust me, once you get into the flow of market, you start behaving like that. You don't have to actually, I don't have the time for looking at the charts. All I care about how much of risk that I'm taking for each of the trade. And if there is 10 trades to be taken, I'll take all the 10s. I'll not shy away from that. But having said that, if there is I always have a profit target for a day. If it is getting met, I'll not overexpose myself to market because I might end up losing money. But at the same time, most of the trades that you are seeing, these are the carryover trades from the previous day. 80% of them. So I try to take care of all those trades by before say 10:30, 11, whatever that I have taken, and plus whatever the trades that I can see for today from say 9:30 to say 11. I don't take any fresh trades that bulk amount post 11 kind of thing. So 2 to 3:30 and 9:15 to 11 is my operating zone. And I don't envisage to trade the whole day, definitely not. So when you say the number of trades, it is based upon this ranking that I showed. So there are a certain number of, I think I showed you. So if I would have traded short, all these shorts that you're seeing on a 45 minutes, more than 60 would be in my bucket. And with some amount of hedging with the, let's say this thing. I'm not talking about I'll be shorting today because market has gone so down, but on a normal day. So these are, let's say, I'll not be shying away Hero Motors ka this thing, let's say PVR, Wipro, all these stock which are more than 60, I'll be going for a short. And it's very easy to this thing. See, most of the time, if you analyze market, post-market, okay, and develop your system, that will give you the edge. During market, you should not be thinking what to do. You should be only thinking about managing your risk and how exactly you're taking up the trades. And that is where the edge will come. If I start analyzing the market during market hours, it will be a little difficult. I know what to do. I should be knowing Bank Nifty ka levels. I should know Nifty ka level. For that matter, I should know SDFC, Axis, ICICI, Kotak, kahan pe unka zone hai, kitna open interest hai. These are my market preparation for the previous day. And that is there in my back of my mind. If I know ki ICICI Bank has fallen by 10 points, open interest mein kitna change hona chahiye tha, that has to be there in my mind. If I don't know that, then I'm not prepared enough to take up the market. So that is how I look at it. So number of trades doesn't matter. All that matters is that whether you have done decent amount of preparation for the next day and whatever the trades that you have taken, did they have logic to take the trade on? So that is how I would differentiate, I would say.
So Asit bhai, just on this table, if you can walk us through, all this is showing up on your screen, right? This is some kind of screener that you have. And then you have to still decide what is the position you will put in each trade. Or is it automated?
So higher the ranking in different time frames with more consensus, I'll take more aggressive bets. Okay. Give me a second. I think I have that slide. I'm going out of this thing, but I would like to show you something, which is okay. So can everyone see this slide, if it is fine? Yeah. So this is a snapshot of, one second, let me show you another slide. Yeah, no, that's fine. So this is a snapshot of ranking at around 2:30 and some day, the day when I took a lot of aggressive short positions in Bank Nifty and Nifty. And this is the reasoning. So if you see, this 2-day rank, 2 din ka. This is 6-hour proxy for a day. This is 3 hours, which is like, I'm talking about splitting the day into 2, morning to Europe Open and Europe Open to say second half. Then we have 1 hour, then say 15 minutes. Can you see it, SDFC Bank? And so the second column is the bearish one. We are clear? So higher the number, higher the bearishness. So let's say ki I have consumed the fact ki I do not need to investigate what HDFC and how HDFC is doing, because this number is sufficing enough for me. So HDFC Bank is bearish in all time frames. If you see, most of the banks are kind of bearish in all time frames. And not only that, Bank Nifty and Nifty is also bearish, and they are kind of figuring in this thing. So that takes me, so more the private banks in the higher the bearish category, more the conviction for me to buy more puts. No, but at the same time, I'll not buy the put at one point. I'll buy the put in a staggered manner. Let's say 400 है, मैं 300 तक भी लूँगा, 500 तक भी लूँगा. In fact, I'll try to take more positions if it is going towards 500, because demand is more, because the direction is kind of coming to the picture. I'll never be buy more if it is coming to 300, 250. I'll buy more if it is going to 500 and 600. Let's say starting at 400 kind of thing, right? So this is how I kind of scale up my quantity, because I have the conviction that certain things are going wrong. I do not know what happens to market tomorrow 12 noon, but I know for sure that first 2 hours, it is going to give me a great mother candle of 300 points. Now this is a probability. Now out of 10 times, 2 times I'll go wrong. On the day of bond yield, 4th of March, the previous day, market was quite bullish. I was aggressive, and I lost money on 4th of March. But you have to give yourself the chance of how many times you're going wrong because of this black swan that we talked about, and how many times you're going because the numbers are coming in your favor. So I back my probability and play for the game. Yeah, that is how it is. I hope it kind of gave the answer that you're looking for.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see you trade live someday, just to get a sense of.
No, I'm not a good. I think there are much better live trader. I'm kind of get lost in the noise, so I try to work alone somehow. But yeah, we'll see someday maybe.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sure, sure. Yes, yes, sure, sure, sure. I get your point, sir. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, absolutely. Done. Sure, sure. Right, sure.
Thanks.
Okay. Hi.
Assuming that you are taking a trade on not on indices but a stock like an HDFC or a Maruti ATM, how do you manage the slippages during volatility or heavy accumulation or distribution? How do you manage the slippages in the trade?
Just the way I don't care about theta, I don't care about slippage, and that's the truth.
But don't you see that sometimes your bid and ask varies too much, which eat away your profits?
Okay, so for stocks, I never go for options. I go for options in the index, and stocks I go for futures.
Okay, great.
So that is one way I have demarcated myself. I'll never get into stock options, because what you're talking about is, I thought you're talking about index, but yes, stock wise.
No,
yeah.
I see there is not a lot of difference in the
yes. But at the
indices.
But at the same time, once in a month you get a trade like Ultratech that I was talking about. I don't know how many of you would have seen me. I talked in the first week of March in CNBC Awaaz that Adani Enterprise would be the stock of this month. From 700, it has gone to around 1,050 kind of thing. Now, I did that, delta drifting from 740, 800. So the money that you make from 700 call, from 740 call, you invest in 800, and that is how you roll out. It's not that there will be no drawdown, but once you make profit, that kind of a backup is created. So for me, the whole hypothesis is that how much money you have made for that individual stock. So Adani Enterprise, at one point of time, I had around 60,000 call different strike price. But at the same time, this was a positional one. I completely understood. But one thing, in case, even if you did not take any, have any takeaways from the session, just remember, whenever RSI monthly is going above 70, go and buy the stock for positional kind of thing. It will give you great amount of returns. Any kind of retracement on a weekly basis to say 60 or 65, go even more aggressive. Go and check Adani Enterprise ka monthly RSI. That was a zone when it crossed 70 and it went to an RSI of 90. That doesn't mean it is overbought and things like that. As a buyer, I'll buy higher premium and sell it higher. That is a rationale. Because the demand is higher, I'll go aggressive and give more premium to it because there is demand, because there is a trend and momentum. अगर premiumness नहीं है strike price में, that itself it shows there is not much of action that is happening. So that's another way of now I kind of look at it.
And do you also intend to change your strike prices once you start making money at a 700 strike price? And
I'll go to 740.
So do you exit your 700 position and move to
yes,
740?
yes.
So the capital invested in 700 is moved to 740 and added more?
Yes, maybe not completely out. Maybe if I've taken 10 lots, maybe 6 lots I would have booked, 2-3 lots, and 780 पे then 740 का मैं 2-3 lots रखूँगा. But just for the heck of feeling pride कि okay चलो मैं 700 वाला भी carry कर रहा हूँ types. But not that कि that's something that I do regularly until unless I do not get that entire journey of that stock clearly. Not that कि it happens every time, but Adani Enterprise played out quite nicely. So
and just to understand the psychology, do you treat that 700 call and 740 call, assuming you're long, you treat that as different trade or you average out the pricing on both the trades?
No, never average it out.
No. So you bought a 700 call for 40 bucks and you bought a 740 call for 60 bucks. So do you calculate your price is 50 when you exit or you exit each trade as a strike price?
Each strike price का जो भी profit आ रहा है, so that is how I will look.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, this is Deepak from New Delhi. So we are basically into developing algo systems, right? So there was this one post on Twitter which you have posted wherein you have made 50% gain on one single trade. So all the bigger funds, the main question, I've been talking to a lot of funds over here who have got huge money with them. They're just asking one question, that when you're making 50% on a single trade, what are the drawdowns you are maintaining in that particular trade? So, because we saw that trade and we saw all the screenshot of the trades you have taken, right? So, is there any hedging you are thinking of, or if things go on a wrong side, one can lose 50% of the fund as well?
I get your point. I think you're talking about that 8CR thing that happened. So, okay. So the previous day, I just to narrate what happened. So on budget day, I was bearish. I had built up positions on a bearish side. By around 12 noon or maybe 11:30 noon, I knew that it is not working out. I was sitting on a loss of around 1.6, 1.7 kind of thing. And rest of the day, I started going long because I thought that obviously market is going up. Right. So there was a profit of around 2.4. Okay. So all the money that I had taken, my risk was, if I'm losing 2.4 tomorrow and I give a buffer of another 40-50 lakhs, I'm good. That much I can take care. Right. But then what of that comes? So for me, when you say hedging and everything, if I get my trade, forget about hedging. It's about how much I can get more. That is what. So Kapil trades with me, and he is there. So that day I told him that there was one account which 10 lakhs was kind of was not utilized. I kind of told him, why did you not take 10 lakhs? Because the conviction is so strong, you do not want to leave out even slightest of this thing because you know that this is on the plateau. And it's not that every day I feel like that, but maybe that mental algo that I was talking about, that works out nicely when you see certain setup are happening. So for me that day what happened, SDFC, ICICI, Axis, Kotak, everything was around 75. Bank Nifty is more than 70. So this is like a, if I may put it in another way, it's like planetary position coming all together and giving one some this thing. So you pick up your trade. It's not that this is something right or wrong, but for me, my definition of loss for the next day would have been around 2.7 CR, which I'm okay to go. But if I do not take that much of risk, I would not be making that kind of money. So it's as simple as that.
So, but when we talk about the risk, right? So you never know. Like market is supreme in itself. So 1% probability of going wrong is with every trader, with every single trade, no matter how much conviction we have on the trade, right? So we cannot quantify that tomorrow morning what will be my loss, which I feel I'm comfortable with. It can either go to 60%. Market has always got this kind of stuff where we get standard deviation of whatever losses we are anticipating, right? So don't you think that we are just filling the positions to the neck and then we are going in for the
I'm
overnight?
buying options. I bought both of 2 CR options. So zero hoga na. Mera aaj ka profit hi jayega na. How can it go beyond that?
Right, but on a 16 CR fund, what my basic concern and even the bigger funds, the basic concern was that on a 16 CR fund, if you are making 8 CR profit, that's not a problem. But they are only quantifying the risk. which one is taking.
See,
it can be on the either side. You
what,
also know it.
What might be risk for you would be opportunity for me. I do not look at risk the way you might be looking at or many other people will be looking at. What I'm looking at is, do I have the buffer to, in case things go wrong tomorrow, do I have the buffer to take care of it? I did have the buffer because I made money the second half of it, right? And once you start playing the game enough, you know which are the zones. It's not that every day I'll be kind of, every day, every month, every quarter I'll be like that aggressive, but I know when I can be that aggressive, because unless I have not made that money the previous day, I cannot put that money into question and go for it. So what you're saying is maybe a more bookish way of looking at things, but I would not look
Maybe
into.
it's a different way, or like you are handling your own fund, we are handling a fund in a different way, because the risk factor is like we are keeping that thing main,
And that's
not the
okay.
returns track.
So,
Yeah.
see, we will always have losses, we will always have drawdowns.
Right.
But when market is going to, at least the probability is backing you up, you have to take it in two hands.
Right.
Malab, you can say, 2.4 I made, day great, I'm shutting it up, or maybe you want to take it to the next level. I choose to take it to the next level, and that is what it is. So
Makes sense. That's your
yeah.
way of trading.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, here. Yeah.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah. So, wanted to ask you a very basic question about the price movement when I'm buying an option. Yeah. Recent times we have regulatory bodies have introduced lots of norms about for the option sellers. Because of that, lot of people like who are doing a 1 or 2 lot selling, they have moved to the option buying, if I'm not wrong, right? So at the time, I have noticed that जब आपका IV भी सही है, direction भी सही है, but then option price movement नहीं आता है, because there are very less sellers. So sellers जो है, like जिनके पास that much amount है, वो पूरा manipulate करता है, right? But then फिर buyer को movement नहीं मिलता है वो, या फिर वो LTP में capture नहीं होता है.
Did you get the momentum today?
Yes. Yeah. आज मिल गया, but then ऐसा
There'll be
fraction
days-
आता है.
see, there'll be
So
days-
then
see-
at that time, no, just let
Yeah,
me
yeah,
complete.
sure.
At that time कि मतलब कैसे क्या होना चाहिए, मतलब ट्रेड लेना है या फिर अगर ट्रेड जीरो पे निकल जाना है.
See, okay, fine. Okay, fine. I get your point, but I would like to say that it doesn't happen every day. Maybe there is a phase of 3-4 days IV short up, and let's say demand supply, what you were saying,
I agree.
Might come into play, and whatever you're saying is correct. But if you get into that zone, don't get into options, get into future. See, I'm not fixated that I have to buy option strike price में. अगर मुझे option, मुझे Apollo Hospital काफी अच्छा लगता है जब move देता है, but I never get into Apollo Hospital का option pricing, मतलब call side, because it will never give me the momentum, and bid ask में काफी lose होता है. And for that matter, most of these stocks, if it is not liquid, I do not get into kind of the option side of it. So stock me, in case you're getting that kind of phase where the momentum is not happening the way it ought to happen, get into futures. मतलब that's the only way to look at it, to be honest.
Yes, yes. Because concern ये था कि अगर movement है, direction है, सब कुछ सही है, but अगर depth नहीं है, फिर भी buyer को loss bear करना पड़ेगा. That's what I'm. Yes.
Yeah, मतलब it's too early. Maybe September के बाद we can see, to be honest. I have no clue. मतलब Ashu sir can tell us in much better way how exactly it is impacting. But I somehow think कि let's see till September. But you know what? मतलब whether you take options, you take buy side, sell side, whatever. End of the day में my focus has always been to catch the direction. अगर my direction is clear and I'm giving backing myself up कि हाँ ये सही लग रहा है and it is having the proper momentum and whatever, then I'll अगर option में नहीं रहा है तो I'll get into futures. But that's one way to look at it. But I'll never let go of that opportunity that is coming because of let's say the momentum that is there. So yeah.
Yes, yes. I agree with your point. But then again, question वही होता है कि
I can hear you.
Audible, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Question वही होता है कि मैंने पोजीशन तो बाय कर दिया, ओके, बट
मैं
अगर
बाय
मुझे
क्यों
सेलर
करूंगा?
का डेप्थ नहीं मिल
My
रहा
point
है,
is कि बाय मैं क्यों करूंगा? अगर आपको लग रहा है कि इस टाइप का, let's say there is a phase, there are lot of phase when IV has shot up, your direction is right, you'll never make money, right? I'll not get into the trade, and at least we need to be pro enough to understand कि okay, this is a zone that I'm not going to get money out of buying option. I'll not buy options. That's okay. That is fine. But I'll wait for that zone when again that activity is happening in the momentum where I was strike price, and then I'll get into option buying. That's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else? Have any queries to ask, or maybe we can? Okay then. So yeah, I think it's fine. Thank you everyone. Thank you for listening to me. And I hope it made some sense to you. In the whole crowd of option selling, I try to put my perspective. That's all.